What's going on? You're in the Beat Sessions, place for all things music, and where we do the listening for you. I'm your host, Mitchell Weary. Hope the week has treated all of you well. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already. And let's kick things off for the week of March 31st by talking about the Zombies and this new album, Different Game. This is the band's 7th studio album, and their follow-up to 2015, Still Got That Hunger. And 8 years later, Rod Argent and co. still have that hunger. I'm pumped that he's still making music under this moniker. Colin Blunstone, still there on the vocals. I know that this isn't the original Zombie lineup, the lineup that's known for that fabulous record, Odyssey and Oracle. But Chris White, big songwriter on that album, Hugh Grundy, they still show up from time to time for live shows. Not as involved really, if at all, I don't think, with songwriting anymore, but it's still great that, if these guys decide to perform shows, celebrate some of those earlier records, that those guys are there to hang out and to do that. Rod he's one of those guys that's super underrated. I really, truly feel he belongs in that conversation with a guy like Ray Manzarek. Just truly one of the best guys to ever touch the ivories when it comes to creating psychedelic rock and roll. The feel of the Zombies music, it's just always had this signature touch that his keyboards provide. So I feel like while he's still there and while the band still has that influence from him, the music still has that sound, that's the most important thing to me. You can feel it on this record, and I feel like you feel it on any Zombies record. But this record is interesting. A lot of balladry, and again, something that these guys are fairly well known for. This is a rock and roll outfit, but for the most part, I feel like these guys have done some pretty mellow, psychedelic, laid back stuff for the most part. It doesn't feel like anything, outside of their wheelhouse. It's, 10 songs presented really nicely in 39 minutes. Great A-side, B-side. I love the continuity. I love the songwriting. It's you get a couple of jams, a couple bangers in there that really provide some pace and groove, help to pick things up a little bit. But the balladry, the mellow component of this record, which dominates it for the most part, is wonderful to listen to. Very chill, something I'd throw on early morning, or maybe even to wind down after a long day. It's something that'll really help you just relax and kind of chill. And that's what I've always loved about the Zombies music. That's Rod's one of those guys that once he starts hitting the keys, he can kind of unfold your soul a little bit, as far as taking you down that rabbit hole and kind of guiding you into a fun little psychedelic rock and roll journey. So love that 60 plus years that these guys have been around. It's and it's unfortunate too when you think about the history of the band, the time that they were making music, the pressures that come from record companies, and they put out so many songs that just they didn't hit. There wasn't the popularity that was really necessarily there. And so it's unfortunate that Odyssey and Oracle hits and these guys are pretty much just broken up and done. And it's it's one of those tragic things where it's like, oh man, I wish we would have been appreciated while we were still together and trying to do this, now that it's like run its course. But with all that in mind, it's great that they've continued to get back together and make records over the years and do their thing. So happy to talk about this record. If you've had a chance to listen to it already, I hope you've enjoyed it. It's something that I really dug. It starts off with your title track, Different Game. It's got this mid-tempo, big organ to open. The intro works in some strings, which is pretty cool there. I like the soul element of this song as well. And that's another thing about their songwriting. I feel like whether it's Rod, whether it's Chris, whether these guys are working collectively with one another, there's a soulful, just kind of like gentle R&B, a little bit of funk that goes along with their music as well. And I dig that. There's a kind of a balance of this classic pop feel as well. Their stuff is awesome. I mean, it's really drawing on a lot. And this album opener is a great example of all the different influences that drive their sound. Dropped, Reeling, and Stupid is your second track. Love this jam. This is probably one of my favorite tracks on the record. It's one of the upbeat ones, but I love the rolling organ that it provides the intro on this thing. It just sets this sweet groove. Classic funk, soul, rock and roll. I mean, this thing, it's got that Doobie bounce. We were talking about soft rock and the Doobie Brothers about a month and a half ago, and it's just got that bounce. It's just that groove that's like you can't help but just be overtaken by it. Rediscover is your third track, surf rock style harmony to open this thing up. I dig the vocal there, a little bit of percussion on the ride to usher this thing in. Then you get this kind of like classic doo-wop feel. Track hits with the big piano. It's a cool song, and I like that for as mellow as the record is. This is a fun example of still beefing up a song a little bit and making it fun to just navigate as far as the different instrumentation that's there and the way that it unfolds. Runaway got this psychedelic organ to open. It's very much a Rod signature there. Keeps this loose feel as it builds, and then this track just like fills out splendidly. It's got a jazz rock feel. Really reminded me a lot of Chicago. You Could Be My Love, your fifth song, pretty piano ballad. I really love the way that this closes out the B side of the record. Merry Go Round, your sixth song, it goes to work immediately, kicking off the B side with another jam. Got this piano lick and bass drum that just kicks this thing off, and then I love the guitar on this thing. It's got this little bit of like jazz and pop flair, good balance there in the rock and roll. It rocks. It's a great song. Love You While I Can is your seventh song. It's got this pretty folk guitar. The vocal enters, cymbals a little bit, and then the song really just I love the way the cymbals trickle in to kind of like form the song. It's got this folk pop feel, and it shifts towards this kind of moody guitar rock sound. It's a cool track as well. I Want to Fly, your eighth song. Big string intro on this thing, kind of got that classic pop feel again. The vocal laid over it is great. Bit of chamber pop here as well. Liking that song. Got to Move On, your penultimate track. Big soul and gospel feel. The organ is big in this thing. Bit of harmonica, upbeat pop rock. Kind of had that kind of 80s Steve Winwood vibe to it. Great penultimate track. I love the energy. And then The Sun Will Rise Again. It's just pretty flamenco style guitar and vocal on this thing. I really love just a nice chill way to close out this album. Again, from start to finish, there's no filler. It's a great experience. I love that this is a band that, there's so many bands that they want to do all this big stuff and celebrate being around forever. And it's been almost a decade since these guys have put out a record, but I like that it's just like, hey man, like we showed up to do what we do. I think most of these guys are like closing in on 80. It's great that they are putting together quality projects like this. And we're going to vinyl please this thing to kick the week off. Hope you find this review helpful. Please like this video, share it, tune into the live show on Tuesday nights at 8 o'clock Arizona time. That's 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we'll keep you updated on all the music news, all this great stuff that we listen to. Stay tuned throughout the week for more album reviews. We'll see you next time on the Beat Sessions.